Dear students, in today's class we are going to prove a very interesting result in connection with algebraic multiplicity and geometric multiplicity of a eigenvalue, and the result states that geometric multiplicity of an eigenvalue does not exceed its algebraic multiplicity. What does it mean? GM is always less equal AM. So now let us move towards proving that theorem, but in order to prove that theorem we will need some prerequisites. So chalo, let us recall that and then we will move towards the proof. So the first thing that will be required is definitely the definition of the algebraic multiplicity. So what is algebraic multiplicity of an eigenvalue? The number of times lambda appears as a root of characteristic equation of A is called as algebraic multiplicity of an eigenvalue lambda. Let me give you an example. Suppose you are having certain matrix A and suppose you get eigenvalues to be 1, 1, 2, then algebraic multiplicity of the eigenvalue 1 will be 2 and the algebraic multiplicity of eigenvalue 2 will be 1. And if you think properly, since these are the roots of the characteristic equation, what will be the factors of that characteristic equation? The factors will be x minus 1 square and x minus 2, right? Therefore the roots are 1, 1, 2. In other words, you can say that x minus 1 is a factor of the characteristic equation of A, but it is appearing how many times? 2 times. So therefore it is x minus 1 square, right? So after observing this equation, we can itself tell that since the multiplicity of this factor x minus 1 is 2 and therefore the eigenvalue 1 has multiplicity 2. Similarly, this factor is appearing only once, so therefore the algebraic multiplicity of the eigenvalue 2 is 1. Next, talking about geometric multiplicity. Geometric multiplicity is nothing but actually it is the dimension of the eigenspace, because if you remember how to find the eigenvectors, so while finding the eigenvectors we were thinking about the basis of the eigenspace and the number of elements in the basis set gives us what? The geometric multiplicity of the eigenvalue. I mean, suppose you are having certain eigenvalue, how to find its geometric multiplicity? First of all, we will find the eigenspace, then we will find the basis of the eigenspace and the number of vectors in that basis set of that eigenspace will be nothing but what? The geometric multiplicity of an eigenvalue lambda. And this is a notation that we use for eigenspace, that is nothing but E of A lambda. Remember why this notation we are using? Because the basis of the eigenspace depends on matrix A as well as whatever the eigenvalue we get. Remember that. Next note that will be required is basis of a subspace can be always extended to a basis of a vector space. I mean, suppose you are having certain vector space V, yeah, suppose this is my vector space V, and suppose you are having some subspace of VW, then what we can do is this basis of W can be always extended to the basis of the vector space. How we can extend it? I mean, suppose W1, W2 up to Wk is a basis of W, let us say, and let us say that dimension of the vector space V is n. Then what we can do? We can add such vectors in this basis of W that will give us what? The basis of V, isn't it? So the certain number of vectors can be added in this set. Let us say in this case, yeah, we can add some this W1, W2 up to Wk will be there. Remember, we have already seen examples on this in unit number 1. So I can add few vectors. Let me call it as Wk plus 1, Wk plus 2, and I will go up to Wn. And in this way I can always get a basis of V. Remember, there is some standard process in order to get it, which is already discussed in unit number 1. And the next thing that will be needed is similar matrices always have same characteristic polynomials. What do you mean by similar matrices? Suppose we are having two matrices A and B which are similar. Since A and B are similar, there will exist a non-singular matrix P such that A can be written as P inverse BP. So since this A and B are similar, therefore I will write here A and B will have same characteristic polynomials. But what is the value of A? Okay, just see, since A and B are similar, value of A is nothing but P inverse BP. Okay, so therefore in other words I can say that P inverse BP and B always has same characteristic polynomial. Just note that but this P should be a non-singular matrix. So in other words, let me write it here. So if we are having certain matrix A and suppose P is some non-singular matrix, then we can say that this this A and P inverse AP will always have same characteristic polynomial. In fact, they will have same minimal polynomials as well. Okay, but in this theorem it is required that similar matrices has same characteristic polynomials. So this will be essential in the proof. So let us start with the proof. So since we have to show that algebraic multiplicity we have to show that geometric multiplicity of an eigenvalue does not exceed its algebraic multiplicity. In other words, we have to show that this GM is what? Less equal AM. Note that geometric multiplicity is always less than, strictly less than, or sometimes it is also equal to AM. So whenever GM is equal to AM, okay, there is some speciality is there that is happening, and that is nothing but what? Just think on it. Okay, now let us directly move towards the proof. So what I will do here is I will take a matrix A. I will take a matrix A and I will take some eigenvalue of A, let us say lambda. I will assume that this lambda has some geometric multiplicity, let us say k. Now whenever I say this lambda has geometric multiplicity k, in other words I am assuming that dimension of the eigenspace corresponding to this eigenvalue lambda is k. And now we will prove that our algebraic multiplicity, whatever it is there, it will be greater equal k. That is what we will prove, because ultimately what we have to prove, GM is less equal AM. I am assuming that the GM of the eigenvalue lambda is k, that is what I am assuming, and then we have to prove that the algebraic multiplicity of lambda is greater equal GM, isn't it? But GM is nothing but k. So in other words, we have to show algebraic multiplicity of lambda is greater equal k. So let us begin then. So initially what I have said here is, let A be a matrix of order n and lambda be a eigenvalue of A. Now I will say let geometric multiplicity of lambda be k. Yeah, as you can see here, let k be the geometric multiplicity of lambda with respect to matrix A. In other words, it means that dimension of the eigenspace, that is E of A lambda, is equal to k. Now since dimension of the eigenspace is k, what does it mean? What is the definition of dimension? Dimension is nothing but the number of vectors in the basis set, right? So therefore the basis set of E of A lambda will contain k vectors. Let us give some names to that k vectors. I will say x1 x2 up to xn. So I say let this set x1 x2 up to xk be basis of E of lambda, E of A lambda. But we already know that the basis of the subspace can be extended to the basis of what? Vector space. Note that as I have said that the order of the matrix is n. So whatever vectors we are having here, they will be from r raised to n. Therefore over here our V is nothing but r raised to n, and W is nothing but what? E of A lambda, that is nothing but the eigenspace. Remember, we have already shown that eigenspace is a subspace. So now this basis of E of lambda can be extended to basis of what? V, that is nothing but r raised to n. So we can add certain vectors in this basis set, and that is what we have done here. So as I said earlier, basis of subspace can be extended to basis of a vector space. So we are adding these vectors, that is xk plus 1, xk plus 2 up to xn. In other words, we are extending the basis of this subspace to get a basis of r raised to n. Now since it is a basis of r raised to n, this set is going to be linearly independent, and therefore this set is a linearly independent subset of r raised to n. And whenever we have a linearly independent subset, we always have a non-singular matrix. But note, whatever linearly independent subset we are having, if it has n vectors, it should be a subset of r raised to n. If we have 3 vectors, it should be a subset of r raised to 3. So if such a subset we are having which is linearly independent, then we have a non-singular matrix, because the vectors in the set, by using the vectors in the set, we can form a non-singular matrix, and these vectors will be nothing but what? Columns of that matrix. And that is what I have done here. As you can see, this x1, x2, xk, these are all columns of our matrix P, and therefore this matrix P is a non-singular matrix. Now let us find P inverse AP. So what will be our P inverse AP? So P inverse AP will be equal to, similar calculations are done in the last theorem, so I will not go in details. So P inverse AP will be equal to, just I have substituted the value of P. Now we will put this A inside, so it will be AX1, AX2 here, AXK plus 1, and continued up to AXN, as you can see in this step. Now just take a note. We are saying that dimension of the eigenspace is k over here. What does it mean? Remember, the basis of the eigenspace gives us the eigenvectors. So therefore whatever this x1, x2, xk are there, actually they are the eigenvectors, but corresponding to which eigenvalue? Remember, this is the eigenspace of which eigenvalue? Lambda. Therefore these are the eigenvectors corresponding to eigenvalue lambda. And according to the basic definition of eigenvalue and eigenvector, which condition will be satisfied? This ax1 should be what? Lambda x1. Similarly ax2 should be what? Lambda x2, and so on. Axk will be equal to what? Lambda xk. Why this thing is happening? Because corresponding to this eigenvalue lambda, these are all eigenvectors, that is x1, x2 up to xk. So that is what I have written here. Since this x1, x2, xk are eigenvectors corresponding to eigenvalue lambda, this equation will be satisfied, and therefore this ax1 will be nothing but what? Lambda 1 x1, which is written here. Ax2 will be lambda 2 x2, and so on. Axk will be lambda xk. Okay. Now we don't know what is axk plus 1, so that thing is kept as it is over here. As you can see, I think yeah, this should not be there, this dots, isn't it? Yeah, and rest of the things are as it is, as you can see here. Now as done in the last theorem, what will be P inverse P? P inverse P will be an identity matrix. Let me write it here. And therefore this P inverse, and if you write the matrix P, that is x1, x2 and so on up to xk, again we are having xk plus 1 and so on, I will not write that, will be equal to the identity matrix again, which can be written as e1, e2 and so on, yeah, in this way. And if you put this P inverse x1 inside, similarly what we will get? P inverse x1 will be e1, P inverse x2 will be e2 and so on. So that is what is done here. So I will not go in details. Yeah. So we get this P inverse x1 is e1. Now instead of using, there is simply the notation difference. In the previous theorem we have used this, and now we are using this. that does not matter much. And this is E2, this is Ek, and rest of the things as you can see. But whatever P inverse AP we have found out, in that we are having P inverse x1, P inverse x2 and P inverse xk. So I need only these values. First k values, I am not interested in these values. So what I will do, I will simply substitute the value of P inverse x1 as E1, P inverse x2 as E2 and P inverse xk as Ek in this equation 1. So I will get P inverse AP is equal to this. Now just try to understand what is going on here. Okay, so just I will write here, yeah, a bigger matrix actually. So lambda E1 is there. So E1, you know, it is 1 0 0 and so on. So what is our first column? Lambda 0 0 0 and so on 0. What is my second column? 0 lambda 0 0 so on. Yeah, this will be continued actually, and I am having lambda e raised to k, actually Ek. So what is Ek? Actually we are having 1 at the kth position, means it is 0 0 0 and somewhere we are having 1, but it is at the kth position, and we are multiplying it by lambda. So we will have 0 0 so on, lambda somewhere 0 again, and this will be continued. But this lambda, remember, it is at kth position now. Okay, kth position, this is supposed to be understood. And I am not interested in rest of the entries. So there are some entries here, similarly here, okay, here as well. Yeah, somewhat like this. Now I am interested actually in a block matrix. So I will just form a block matrix with the help of this, somewhat like this. Yeah, this is 0 here, 0 0 here lambda. Yeah, let us see. Yeah, somewhat like this. So as you can see, if I take lambda out from here, what I will get? So if I take lambda out, I will get 1 0 0 0 1 0. I mean, it is identity matrix, right? But the question is, what is the order of this identity matrix? As this lambda is at kth position, so it is clear that there are k rows, isn't it? And what about number of columns? They are also k, because this is a first column, this is a second column, and this is a kth column. So order of this matrix over here is k by k. So thus I can write this matrix as lambda multiplied by Ik. Is it okay? And over here you can see all zeros are there. So this is a 0 matrix. Over here there will be some matrix, I will call it as B, and over here there will be some matrix, I will call it as C. Is that clear? Therefore this is same as you can see here, lambda Ik, B, 0 and C, where B and C are matrices of order. Now this part is homework, how do we get this, because that is not much important in this theorem. So we will not discuss regarding the orders of B and C, but definitely you can give a thought. Okay, you should understand that as well. Now moving towards the next statement, as I told you before, always if you are having certain non-singular matrix P, the characteristic polynomial of P inverse AP and A are always going to be same, because they are similar matrices. Okay, but remember, actually we have to show that algebraic multiplicity of lambda is what? Greater equal the geometric multiplicity. That is what we have to show. So we are interested in finding algebraic multiplicity. It means we are interested in finding the characteristic polynomial of A, because characteristic polynomial of A will give me the algebraic multiplicity of lambda, right? Because what is the definition of AM? The number of times lambda appears as a root. So that is what we are interested in. So thus we will find the characteristic polynomial of A. But as we know, P inverse AP and A are similar. So therefore characteristic polynomial of A and characteristic polynomial of P inverse AP are same. So instead of finding characteristic polynomial of A, we will find characteristic polynomial of P inverse AP, because we already know now what is P inverse AP. So what will be the characteristic polynomial of that? Now that is simple to find. As you can see that it is an upper triangular matrix. We know determinant is nothing but the product of diagonal elements. But what is the characteristic polynomial of A? It is determinant of xi minus A, right? So which will be equal to determinant of this xi minus p inverse ap and so on. Now what will be the characteristic polynomial of p inverse ap? That is a question. We already have the matrix p inverse ap, so its characteristic polynomial will be, since it is a upper triangular matrix, characteristic polynomial of this lambda ik multiplied by characteristic polynomial of c. And what is characteristic polynomial of lambda ik? It is written here. So it will be determinant of xi minus lambda ik, and characteristic polynomial of c will be determinant of xi minus c. So this is nothing but the characteristic polynomial of a indirectly. But what will be determinant of xi minus lambda ik? But actually that is easy to find. If you have some i3, what will be determinant of xi minus i3? What will be the determinant of this? It is simple. It will be determinant of x minus 1 0 0 0, x minus 1 0 0 0, x minus 1, and which is nothing but x minus 1 cube. So over here determinant of this first part will be x minus 1 raised to k, sorry, x minus lambda raised to k, okay, because we are having lambda ik here. I have taken 1 over here. So if I take lambda i3, then everywhere I will have lambda here, and I will have the determinant to be x minus lambda cube, right? So thus this will be equal to x minus lambda raised to k multiplied by determinant of xi minus c. Now you can see that how many times lambda is appearing as a root of characteristic polynomial of k. You can see the power of x minus lambda is k. It means it is surely appearing k times, but we are having something over here, determinant of xi minus c. So it may happen that lambda may be a root of this polynomial as well, whatever we get here. If lambda is a root here as well, then what will happen is the algebraic multiplicity of eigenvalue lambda will be greater than k, isn't it? I mean, it will be k plus 1 if lambda appears as a root of this polynomial once. If it appears twice, then what? Algebraic multiplicity of lambda will be k plus 2. If it appears thrice, then k plus 3, and so on. But it is sure that the algebraic multiplicity of lambda is going to be at least k. At least k means what? It will be greater equal k, isn't it? Because it is sure that now lambda is going to appear k times as a root, right? And if it appears as a root here as well in determinant of xi minus c, then it is a bonus, isn't it? Therefore the algebraic multiplicity is going to be at least k, thus it will be greater equal k. That is what I have written here. Therefore algebraic multiplicity of lambda with respect to the matrix A will be greater equal k, but remember k is nothing but the geometric multiplicity, and thus we have proved that am is greater equal gm. In other words, gm is less equal am, and that's all about this proof.